Are you ready? The Cornelia Stephanie Show. Wake up to love, your call to action. Join Cornelia as she empowers others to live heaven on earth. Cornelia teaches listeners how to be the authority over yourself, embracing your inner guru. Feel yourself uplifted into limitless expansion, integrating ease and grace in a changing world. This show will cover topics such as unconditional love, your physical body, how to be in extraordinary relationships, create financial and emotional wealth, embracing entrepreneurship in the new earth.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Cornelia Stephanie Show. It's an honor and a pleasure to be with you today. And I have with me again, I'm so excited about Eileen Noyes being here with us. And let me remind you, the audience, of who Eileen is and the things that she does. She's an author, speaker, she's a mentor, she's the founder of the Bellator movement. And also, she is a mom of 8. I mean, that right there, that's a lot. That's a lot of work. So, but before we get into it, allow me to just let you know what Eileen has journeyed through. The limelight as a former pro athlete's wife in the public eye. She escaped cult involvement, established single motherhood to 8 children, and is now remarried and spearheading the Lady Bellator movement, helping women lost in the shuffle of family life find their identity, their voice, and their sense of purpose once again. Eileen, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Hi, it's so nice to see you again. It's
How's
been
life?
a long time.
Right? It's like, I mean, what has it been? A few months since we've seen each other, but it does feel like 6 months.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So how is life for you? Busy, you're doing all kinds of things. I know that you were finishing the book series and doing a lot of talks and different things like that. So
Yes.
have things calmed down a little bit on that front?
On that front, it's probably just about to start up again.
Okay.
I have had a whirlwind of probably the last month, just because it's that shift. Mom knows that it's the shift from school to summer. So I've had 5 graduates in my home, a kindergarten, 6th grade, 8th grade, junior college, and then we went up to Wisconsin for my high school senior who graduated. A birthday on top of that. And so I usually don't people will say to me, I don't know how you do it. Like there's so much going on. And, I don't even know what to say to that, because I just think, hey, this is just my life. It's how I know it. And I would kind of think like, they're just saying that. But as the age range is going and increasing, my youngest is 6, my oldest is 21, with all the different things, I honestly felt like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is way too much. So I would say for the last 2 to 3 weeks for sure, I put down anything outside of family, anything outside of family, like work, book stuff, promoting all that stuff. I just put it on pause, just so I could do family things. So that's, right now it's kind of like a breather. I've got one more big thing. I've got my daughter's dance performance this weekend, and so that just takes up a lot of time, but that's it. So this is like probably my first day like off from just running around like crazy. So
yeah. Well, I think it's so awesome. You know how to do it. You know how to be with 8 children. So you know how to do that. And then also we're in this, evolutionary time of change right now on the planet too, when so many things are changing. There's so many things. And that's why I think, it was even a person that knows how to be with 8 children, knows how to do this, has done this many times, is definitely testing you, because what happens first, right, is some of our self-care practices, some of our things that we really creatively want to do or what we want to show up for has to be put aside. And pretty soon, like you said, you just put it off and really show up for your family. And then once the summer comes, they'll all be busy doing what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. There's that. Although, it's just like, it's a transition where I probably, just because they've been at school from, 8 to 3, now it's going to be me having a shift that I start my day probably 5 in the morning or earlier if I want to get undistracted time, because I want to start doing things with my kids. I want, time, reading time with them, devotional time with them. I want to like go out and, really set the tone of like working out with them. So, so all those things, and that's going to take up at least till, probably whatever mid-morning, and then hopefully have a little more time for, business again. But yeah, that shift is no joke.
That shift is no joke.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are you thinking? I love this so much when you said, setting the tone for working out with them. I think developing those habits when we're younger is so important, because even right now, I'm looking at, my daily life and everything, my routine and all of that. And I find that when I am thriving, I am in my routine. I'm in my discipline. When I'm thriving, I'm in my routine. I'm in my discipline of the things that are important to me, of the working out, of the rituals, of the devotional time, of the reflective time. And so I think this is really important that you are also, realizing this. I'm sure you have for a long time, and also then bringing it into your children's lives and doing that together with them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I was a strength coach at a college, so I love working out, love lifting weights, doing all those things, and that's kind of been on pause too. I mean, just outside of the family. And so as my kids get older, I love that they get to ask me things. I love that I get to show them different technique. But that's definitely not like, especially as a mom, they look at me as mom, and so they don't. It took a while for my oldest one was wise. He always thought, hey guys, mom's worked out with, college professional athletes. Like, it would be stupid to not seek her wisdom. So he's always been good at that. But the other ones I've had to prove that I knew what I was doing. But different things like this, like I committed to, okay, there's just like 10-minute steep hill right behind us. And I was saying, I just got to do that. Like I had hip surgery. So I've been like kind of off. And so I'm slowly integrating everything. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go and walk that hill at least once a day. And I did it by myself the first time. My husband did it with me the second time. And I had like 4 or 5 kids the third time. And so adding that, incorporating that, having the dog, it's something that I was like, oh my gosh, this is something I thought I was going to do for just me. But to get up on that hill, and I'm really thinking like, I think I want to go up there and just kind of have like reading time with them. That was done with me when I was mentored by this mom years and years ago. We went hiking and we got up to the top and we just read the Bible. And I was like, wow, this is so cool to slow down, to have an amazing view of things below us, and just to like kind of sit as a family. I mean, that would be like, something that realistically, I hope I can do maybe like once, twice a week with them. And I'm sure that when we get the routine of it, I know it's going to be good. So.
Oh, I love it. I think, getting to the top of the mountain. I mean, I'm sure you can find a scripture in the Bible that will talk about the top of the mountain. And getting to the top of the mountain, I think that's really cool. The other thing about it that I love is that, you're in the ritual, and it's not those type of things, that self-care, those devotional times, taking care of ourselves, getting up the hill, are all ways in which we can nurture ourselves, and it doesn't cost any money.
Exactly. Costs a lot of breath and some extra heartbeats, but it's worth it. So
yeah. So what about your movement, your Lady Bellator movement? What about that? Bellator, sorry.
Gosh, a lot of things in the works. I had a Lady Bellator group, a mentorship group. So I'm about 3 weeks left on that group. There's also going to be a shift to really start hitting and getting into that NFL space. So that first book
Yeah.
that I wrote, Sideline No More. It's called Helping Pro Athlete Wives Get Off the Bench and to Live Out Their God-Given Purpose. The second book, Rise Up Lady Bellator, was just more broad because the people that were reading Sideline No More were like, outside of, professional athlete wives, they were reading it, men and women, going, Eileen, this is so much more for than just pro athlete wives. And so it resonated with people. So I wrote the second book, took time on that, still promoting it, getting out there. Obviously, like I said, I had that, my mentorship group. So now as season is underway, it's going to come really soon. I'm really wanting to reach the pro athlete wives, especially as they go into training camp. So my heart is to reach them, help them navigate through not only that single mom life of training camp, so, prepping for that, helping them to not lose their sanity and not to lose their identity. And as they go into season, I want to prep them for what's in store, because really there's that feeling of it's not about me and it's all about him. And so there could be the kind of the self-denial aspect of it. And there could also be the resentment part. And so for me, if I can help this woman navigate through that time, so that she doesn't lose her identity, so that she can be the best wife, the best mom, living out what she's called to do and endure that time, because it's a long stretch. That's my heart right now. So I'm doing a lot of things that are in the works to reach these women. And I'm excited because that's, the Bible talks about this. It says, have the older women teach the younger women how to love their wives and to be, the mom and to be, the influence of her home. And even in my mid 20s, 30s, as I was in the NFL, I felt that heart for these women. I'm like, I'm not even that old, but, we're doing Bible studies. I felt like I had this heart to help a lot of women along. And so, so that's what I'm doing now. I'm doing interviews with the ones that I've played with. And that's been really cool. So just having other people see that there's a personality and that there's a real person behind the wife of this guy or that guy. And so to be able to meet with these women and interview them has been kind of rekindling of oh my gosh, no wonder I have this heart for them. And I've had to be tested. Why do I want to reach them? Why is it them? And it's because of what I've gone through. I've gone through a lot. I've gone through the limelight. I've gone through the divorce. I've gone through the losing your identity, and then asking what's this all for me? And should I even be asking that question? And so, and then also there's just the parts of the finances, the family expectations, dealing with the pressure, dealing with the limelight, dealing with the transition, the trades, the injuries. There's so much that I would say that unless you're in it, you just don't understand it. And it's hard to find compassion. It's hard that when I was going through my stuff, people are going, oh, wow, poor you, you've got this, you've got the fame, you've got the fortune, all that stuff. And it's if you can't understand, I can't, how can I talk to you? And so I know there's a lot of women that probably feel that way and they don't have an outlet. And so I'm hoping that my book would help be that outlet and that I would be able to help them too.
Yeah, it sounds like, some of those women are suffering in silence. That's why, you helping them find their voice, find their purpose in, within themselves, because, the limelight is on their partner or their husband, and yet they're doing all kinds of things in the family, but are not maybe honored or seen. And you are helping those women not be suffering in silence and not be alone. And, so that's an important piece. So where do you still have, contacts that from people that from your past? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. So like I said, I had done these interviews. And so, so it's just starting. So I just started this process of thinking, okay, let me just have these conversations, I don't know where it's going to go. So every time I'd call someone, I'd say, hey, what, I'm thinking about doing this conversation. It's not a podcast. It's not anything intimidating. I just want to have a conversation where, we're recording it. And if, if it's down the road or something like that, just asking their permission. And so every time I talked to someone or asked someone, the cool thing was even in calling them, I was thinking about the relationship dynamics that we had. So I'm looking at one person, she actually, her husband coached at the time, but she was started as a player's wife, turned coach's wife, turned GM's wife. And so she's a lot older than me. And so to glean wisdom from her, oh my gosh, that was awesome. I have another one who we kind of transitioned. So we're just about done and they just got in. And so she's from the Midwest and she's, just from me being in it, there's like this thing for me where I thought, gosh, the Midwestern people, they're just quieter, they're more introverted, they're more like kind of they're private. Yeah. And so I didn't know how to process that, but to talk to her and have these conversations of like, how was it for you when you are quiet, like, and your husband's blowing up and he's in the limelight? How is that for you? How do you transition? We talked about even things like, if you're simple and you don't like makeup and all these things and you have to like doll up and go to these fancy events. It's like fun. So it's like, there's definitely a lighthearted conversation. There's deep conversation. There's a conversation that I had with a woman who, she is not part of the Packers like I was. She was one of them that her husband or her ex-husband joined the same group, I call it cult, like my ex. And she was pregnant with triplets and had 2. Oh. And she had to go through this. I was pregnant with my 8th when I was going through this. So that conversation obviously got super deep. We talked about like why it would be, this group would be appealing to professional athletes. And so that's another thing I want to bring awareness to is it's a hard transition. Like I have compassion for my ex that there was no grieving process. There was no, it's like, they're done and people think, oh, they'll go into coaching, they'll go into, media and stuff like that. Well, that's not very many of them. 80% of NFL athletes, and I'm sure it goes across the board of professional athletes, 80% go broke, 80% divorce. And if I can help to change that statistic, unfortunately I became that statistic and I've had to like work through understanding that, that doesn't disqualify me. God still has a purpose and a plan for me. So if I can avoid that, but then help people that are going through that, that's my heart. So.
Yeah. I think even, since you're just really beginning this now, like, you had to go back to your why, and that initially got you excited again, because when you went back to your why are you being called there? Why are you feeling, that you want to do this? And then once you got the clarity again on the why, this is what I'm feeling excited about. This is where my gifts can really help and support. You're doing this right now, with women, with this movement, but, you certainly, have the compassion and also the wisdom to even support the men in, with being able to say, the stats on what can happen to them. So maybe that's something for the future. But right now, it sounds like you've got your hands full with everything that you're rolling out. And it's wonderful that you are helping those women out there that are, suffering in silence. So what is it that you want to say for any of those women that are watching this podcast right now, listening to you? What does it look like, when they're come to a call with you or join your movement, or what does that all look like?
Well, right now it's really honing in the identity piece, which, it's it's so overused. It's like the cliche of your identity. But specifically, if I was to talk about NFL and things like that, for me, I was, like I said, I worked as a strength coach. So I was with all the athletes all day long. I had a job. I had to get there at like 5:30 in the morning, went to 6 o'clock at night, dealt with men and women, all ages. I dealt with coaches, both men and women. And I had a life, I had a purpose, I had an identity. And in one day I flew to Green Bay and I got married that day. didn't know anybody. I didn't know anybody in my wedding. So it's like I just met this pastor. There were two other players and their significant others that were there. And so for me, life just changed like in a day. My day went from full to not knowing anybody but my spouse. And so if you can imagine how hard that is to just, I'm introverted by nature. So it's like, okay, who am I? What do I do? How do I live this life? I mean, and Green Bay is I happen to be wearing green. I never wear green, but like like when I was on the plane and I get off the plane, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like I was entering into a world where, like there's different shows where you go into the black and white, it's green and gold. And so I'm like, this is a whole different world. And so it took me a while to establish like who am I? And I honestly I was clinging to, after I had a kid and then more, I felt comfortable in this place of, oh, she's the one that has a lot of kids. And so it's like we're kind of clinging to something. So I see women that want to go, okay, like I want to be in the limelight like he is, or I want to, I'm outside of mom. I'm just, there's different things that they want to kind of show, and I don't want to say prove, but it all depends. I mean, I've seen healthy women that are establishing everything. I've seen a lot of them in those phases and stages. They're just starting out with their families. So a lot of them are stay-home moms. They can't do anything else because you never know are you going to move? Are you going to I've seen interior decorator. She had great things going on, but if your husband gets cut, it's like, what is there left? Or how do I reestablish? And so it's definitely like I said, a unique dynamics of things. So just anchoring her in her identity as who God is, like that's the big thing. If I had that, I think I would have eliminated a lot of issues. I think that when you come in, for me being Asian, that's not a come. I was Asian. He was Black, and so even like stepping in that sense of going, okay, most of them are either Black or white. Like, where do I fit in? So there's that piece. Or, you're new and, you're especially in Green Bay, like for games, you're bundled up and it's cold outside. So you're not thinking about what you wear. However, as you keep going, and if your husband is good, then you're able to be in the suites, you're able to be indoors. And so you get to dress all cute and different things like that. And so these are the things that you're navigating through to say, okay, like for me, I had a shopping addiction. And not only because of, just sometimes just marital things or just numbing myself and not knowing my identity or purpose. But yeah, the influx of money and just different things that you kind of, that you're walking into. And so I would like to help them, like, hey, if you're anchored in identity, then you're not wasting your money or your stress consumed in, I got to look this way, or I got to fit in here. And so when you're anchored, for me, like I said, if I knew who I was and if I knew my purpose, then there wouldn't be the different stresses and the different battles that I put myself into. And just having a friend outlet for me, I would say when I first got into the league, I was one who just kind of, I honestly, I probably pushed it away. Just because of, I don't even know why. And I wish I didn't. And I look at those people who are, I still talk to you now. It's like, dang, it took me a while to get to know you because of my own insecurities and because of my own issues that I kind of was like, and so just to help them again, like learn their identity. And then from there, and again, it's so like right now I'm just working with women outside of the NFL, but in the NFL, I want to talk about identity. I want to talk about establishing that. I want to talk about her being the wife that she's called to be, but then also not being over responsible for the cheating, for, thinking, I mean, I've dealt with a lot of women that have endured just because she thinks that he's her only, source of income. And so work through those kind of things and work through, again, like boundaries with family. Those are the things that I plan on doing. And so if you look at the book, it's all there, the different things. So I talk about identity. I talk about relationship with spouse. I talk about family expectations. It's mama drama because there's a lot of mother-in-law hard stuff. I talk about purpose. So again, I talk about my with influx of money and not knowing my purpose. I did have a shopping addiction. And then the last thing is transition out of the game. And so to help these women through those things, as well as 5 other chapters that go into just different, just internal things. That's what I know it's going to look like when I start coaching these women.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. I mean, it's really good. You've got a clear program that you've set up for these women. And it's really exciting because you know that it would have been nice if you would have had somebody like you when you first began, right?
Yeah.
And I've thought that many times too, that when I first started in my personal development world and in my, spiritual evolution, it would have been nice if I would have had someone like me that was my mentor, my coach in that way, right?
Yes.
So how can people, first of all, do you have a book handy right there where you're sitting? No.
I have this one.
Okay.
So on Amazon. So this is my second one. This came out, I believe, February of this year.
Yeah.
Rise Up Lady Bellator. Sideline No More is the one specific for pro athlete wives. And those are both on Amazon. LadyBellator.com is my website. And so that's one way that you can reach me, one way you could see all that's going on right now. So yeah, those are the big things right now. And like I said, I got some things in the works that as you go on the website, you'll see I'm getting into the speaking space. And really right now it's, again, it's that shift to make sure I, honor my husband, put him first, take care of the kids, and then, shifting into, back into this, entrepreneurial thing. I mean, it's crazy. Taking 3 weeks off. I was talking to my, one of my team members, and she's like, okay, Eileen, we got this on the list. And I'm like going, okay, refresh my memory again, because I feel like I've put it all down for so long that I didn't even remember anymore. So, so thank God for teammates that help you out.
Totally. We've got to have the team. We can't do it all by ourselves. And look at already all the things that you're up to. Well, I think it's just fabulous how you are approaching all of this and asking all the right questions of yourself. And why don't we have you come back in the fall and see how everything is working out for you then, seeing how the summer is unfolding, and have you come back in the fall, and then we can pick it up where we left off.
Yeah, that would be great, Cornelia.
Good. Well, awesome, Eileen. I want to thank you, the audience, for listening and tuning in, and be sure to check out Lady Bellator. Is that also the website, or is it Eileen? Yeah, it is.
LadyBellator.com. Yes.
Bellator.com. Yeah, definitely go check it out and see what it is that is there for you. So thank you so much for listening and tuning in. We'll see you again next time. Take care, everyone.